Hi everybody. I want to go over homework 19. I've noticed quite a few people are not doing the homework correctly. So 4 should go further on the left than 10 because if it's a number line, right, you got 0, then you got 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. So make sure that you're putting the numbers on the number line correctly. So 4 should go to the left and 10 should go to the right. And then we've constructed 3 intervals. So we have the interval that is to the left of 4, we have the interval that is between 4 and 10, and we have the interval that is to the right. So the first thing we want to do is we want to pick any number you want that is to the left of the number 4. So pick a number that is to the left of 4, like say 3 or 2. So let's pick 2. So we're going to test 2. And we're going to put 2 into where the variables are. So we're going to take out and put wherever there was an n, we're going to put a 2 because we're testing 2 because 2 is on the left-hand side of 4, and that's interval number 1. Okay, so we're going to test 2. So when you plug in 2, that gives you 2 is less than or equal to 10, and then 2 is greater than or equal to 4, and that's what you should write. And then you got to ask yourself, is 2 less than or equal to 10? That's a true statement. Is 2 greater than or equal to 4? That's false. Because this is an and, it has to make both true. It did not make both sentences true, so therefore the numbers to the left of 4 are not solutions. Now let's pick a number between 4 and 10, and let's test a number between 4 and 10. So how about maybe 6? So we'll test maybe, and you could test any number you want. Maybe Bernard tests 6. Maybe somebody else tests 7. You can test whatever number you want. So I'm going to test 6. So I'm going to plug in 6 is less than 10, and then 6 greater than 4. Does it make both sentences true? Is 6 less than or equal to 10? True. Is 6 greater or equal to 4? True. So because it made both equations true, therefore we say it is a solution to the compound and, because it must make both sentences true. So these are solutions because it made both sentences true. Let's test the third interval. The third interval is the numbers that are to the right of 10. So let's pick a number to the right of 10, like 11 or 12 or 13 or 14 or 15. Pick whichever number you want. Just don't pick 10. Pick something to the right of 10. Don't pick 10. 11, 12, let's pick 12 maybe. And is 12 less than or equal to 10? And then is 12 greater than or equal to 4? So remember, we're plugging in the numbers for n when we're testing. And does that make that a true or false sentence? Is 12 less than 10? Nope. Is 12 greater than or equal to 4? Yes, but it did not make both of them true. So these are non-solutions. So those are not solutions. So the only solutions are between 4 and 10. And because there's an equal to symbol underneath there, you must have solid circles. So that should be your final answer, or just in between. So let's try the next one. You have 2 and 9. Make sure when you make sure you have 2 to the left and 9 like a number line. And then we have our first interval is to the left of 2. Our second interval is in the middle of 2 and 9. And our third interval is to the right of 9. So we're going to pick some points and test it. So pick a point, any point that is to the left, right? So pick a point that's to the left of 2, like 1 or 0 or -1. So I'm going to pick, I guess I'll pick 1 to test it. You can pick any number, just don't pick 2. So I'm going to pick 1, and I'm going to plug those numbers into the n. So that's 1 is less than or equal to 2, and 1 is greater than or equal to 9. So is 1 less than or equal to 2? True. Is 1 greater than or equal to 9? False, right? And therefore it did not make both sentences true. So these are not solutions. So anything to the left is not a solution. Now let's pick a number between 2 and 9, like 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. Don't pick 2, don't pick 9. Pick a number somewhere between. So I guess I'll pick a number. So let's see, maybe 4. I'll pick 4. So n equals 4. So I'm going to replace all the n's with 4s. And if you really already understand this, you can like fast forward to the next part. You got to know your inequalities, right? This is a less than or equal to. This is a greater or equal to. Some of you have them backwards. That's a less than or equal to. You have it backwards, and that's really going to mess you up. You got to get that straight. So practice. Is 4 less than or equal to 2? No, that is false. Is 4 greater than or equal to 9? No, that is false. It did not make both of those true. Therefore, those are not solutions. It has to make both true. Now let's pick a number to the right of 9, like 10 or 11 or 12. So let's pick, I guess we'll pick 10. So now we're going to substitute in 10. So is 10 less than or equal to 2? And you have to show this work. This is part of your homework, is to write it out, not just, right? You have to actually write it out. So is 10 less than or equal to 2? No, that's false. It's not less than. Is 10 greater than or equal to 9? No, that's false. So that doesn't work. So none of the intervals work. None, this interval does not, none of them. So your final answer is no solution. Okay, let's go to the next, let's go to 6 and 7. Okay, you must solve and then graph. Some of you didn't graph. Don't I have to multiply both sides by -3? And didn't I just multiply by a negative number? So don't I have to apply the reverse rule? Make sure that you are observing and checking to see if you need to use a reverse rule. Then we subtract 7. Some of you are not showing all your steps. You need to make sure you're showing all your steps. You need to rewrite the question so it's nice and neat, and is in part of the answer. It has to be in there. So this is your final answer. Highlight your final answer, box it off, and then you need to graph. When you are graphing, some of you put -5 and then -12, and that is not a true statement. Remember how our number line goes. It should be -12 and then -5, because we have 0 and then -1, -2, -3, -4, etc., -6, -7. So you need to make sure that when you're placing your values, that your smaller number always goes on the left and your bigger number that's closer to 0 always goes on the right. And then you have to make sure that you know your symbols. This is a greater than or equal to symbol. So we go above the number 12. It's a solid because it's equal to, and we want all the numbers greater than. So that's to the right. Keep on going forever. So the red represents all the numbers that are greater than -12. Then you have a less than or equal to, and that should be above the number -5. And all the numbers less than -5 are to the left. So we are looking at which intervals have both colors. So in the first interval, which is to the left of -12, there's only the blue. In between -12 and 5, there are both colors. And to the right of -5, there is only red. So we are looking for which interval has both colors, and it's the numbers that are in between, and it should be a solid circle and a solid circle in between, and that's your final answer. You don't have to do the little, you don't have to draw the line. So you just have to notice which ones have both colors. So that's what your paper should look like. On the next one, shouldn't we divide both sides by 2? And doesn't that give us no reverse? Some of you were reversing your inequality. You divided by a positive, so there is no reverse. And shouldn't we add 5 to both sides? And doesn't that give us n is less than 9? And you have to bring down that word and that is your final answer. And then we go to graph it. Make sure the smaller numbers on the left, bigger numbers on the right. We're going to graph all the numbers less than -5. So go open circle above the -5, all the numbers less than forever and ever and ever. And then all the numbers that are less than, so above the number 9, all the numbers less than are to the left forever and ever and ever. And which interval has both colors? So isn't it that the numbers to the left of -5, don't those have both colors above it? Do you see in the middle, they only have blue? And to the right of 9, there are no colors. So which interval has both colors is to the left of -5, so that's your solution. So that's what your work is supposed to be looking like. Okay, let's go to number 8. Shouldn't you subtract 3 from both sides? Some of you left out the -9, or the negative in front of the n. Then shouldn't you divide out the -1? Make sure you're not putting an n there. You're not dividing out the variable. So you're not dividing out the variable. And didn't we just divide by a -1 or a negative? So doesn't the reverse rule apply? Shouldn't we undo -6 first? Some of you were multiplying by 2. You undo the adding and subtracting first. Then we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. I'm going to rewrite the final answer in one nice line. Bring down that word and. It has to be in your answer. And I'm going to rewrite this with the variable on the left because we read from left to right. Notice that the pointy part is towards the 18. So when I rewrite it, I need to make sure that the pointy arrow part is towards the 18 so that it's written accurately. And that's what your answer and work should look like. And that's not what I'm seeing on your homework. And then we have to graph it. Some of you didn't graph it all. So -2 is the smaller number, and then 18. We want all the numbers that are greater than or equal to -2. So above the -2, greater than is to the right, all the way to the very end. And then greater than or equal to 18. So above 18, all the numbers that are greater than are to the right forever and ever and ever. And then which interval do you see has both colors? This interval, right, only has no colors. The interval in the middle only has the red. The interval to the right of 18 has both colors, doesn't it? Above it, right? Aren't there 2 colors above that interval? Here there's only, in the middle there's only red, and on the end there are no colors. So the solutions are where there are both colors. So that would be solid circle. Did you have a solid, and did you shade to the right of 18? So you should have had a solid circle and to the right of 18. Because we're looking what makes for both. Last question, number 9. Did you notice that there are variables on both sides? So I like to undo one of the variables first. That's up to you. Lots of ways to do it. Subtract 3 from both sides. Divide by 2. Do not reverse. You divided by a positive, so there is no reverse. Shouldn't I distribute? Multiply. Watch your signs. Negative times a positive is a negative. undo the subtracting 2 first by adding 2. Divide out the negative 2. Did you circle that? Did you point to it? Did you write reverse rule? And did you remember to reverse? Are you showing those annotations? And then be careful, a negative divided by a negative is a positive. And then we're going to rewrite our answer. So it's all on one line. You have to have the word and there. And that's your final answer. You should highlight it or box it off. And then we have to graph it. Isn't negative 5 smaller than 3? And we want all the numbers that are less than or equal to negative 5. So it should be a solid circle above negative 5, and all the numbers less than negative 5 forever and ever and ever. And then we want all the numbers that are greater than 3. So it should be above the number 3. Oops, that should be an open circle, right? Because there's no equal to symbol. So that should be an open to circle. And then all the way to the right. And which interval has both colors? Does this one have both colors? No, this one just has red. Does the numbers in between negative 5 and 3? No, those don't have any colors. What about the numbers to the right of 3? That's just blue. There are no intervals that have both colors. So what do we have to say as our final answer? Yes, you have to then say no solution. If you don't say that, I can't give you credit. So that's your final answer. So this is what your work should look like, and that's not what I've been seeing at all, the homework so far that people have been submitting. Okay?